Hello gamers and genders and welcome back to the opera. How are we feeling today? Funky? Fresh? Well today, I'm going to be painting a Pokemon beloved by many, a favorite to many an emo kid. It's Umbreon. This is part 3 of my first batch of videos, so let's get to it. Okay, so this video is quite a bit longer than the last for a couple of reasons. First of which is, whoa, I've got this whole new camera angle now. I did fully intend to use this secondary angle in all 4 videos that I recorded, but this is the only footage that seemed to survive. A little sneak peek behind the curtain. I'm currently recording these videos using 2 old cell phones that I had, both of which have some battery issues now, but the cameras still work fine. But I think that one of the batteries died while I was recording, so I lost a lot of the footage that was recorded that day. I think I know how to fix it for the future recording sessions though, so that's just one more thing to look forward to. The other reason this video is longer is just that Umbreon simply has more going on in its design than Espeon does, particularly with these yellow glowing rings. They aren't always portrayed as being glowing, but I really wanted to take after the Colosseum/Gale of Darkness model, which I guess is just a reused Stadium 2 model, but he glows in that game and that's what I'm after. Initially, I was just going to use some wet on wet techniques to fill in the area close to the rings without getting like too much pigment in the area, but there was a lot of push and pull involved in trying to get this to go the way that I wanted to. Jumping ahead a bit, I do get to a place where I'm mostly happy with how it ended up, but I wouldn't say it's exactly what I envisioned. Anyway, coming back to where we are now, this is Daniel Smith Indigo that I'm using, and I think it's like the perfect inky blue for Umbreon. I think it's kind of funny though, because I think that probably most of us associate Umbreon with being this kind of bluish black, but apparently that wasn't always the case. I don't know if you've seen Lutu's Twitter or YouTube channel, but he's been documenting the original scans of old Pokemon artwork and showing how they look compared to their digitally altered versions that more of us are familiar with. Apparently Umbreon was illustrated with a much more neutral black rather than the definite cool tone that we see in this edited scan, and I just think that stuff like that is so cool. It's not like lost media per se, but it's like learning a new layer of something that you've already been familiar with for years. So one of the things about Indigo is that it's kind of notorious for having a huge drying shift. Like, it looks super dark right now while it's still wet, but it takes quite a bit of layering for me to get it to stay as dark as it is right now. And man, can I just say, this paper that I'm using is great. After all the layering that I do, and all the indecision, and the short little brush strokes that I'm making, and all of this is coming after my initial sketching and lining layer, and then the erasing that comes after that, and not once did this paper give me problems. If you couldn't tell, this is an Etch Your Everyday sketchbook, and it's currently my cotton paper of choice. I've only been able to try small samples of other cotton papers, but honestly, I love this paper so much that I'm honestly not even looking to switch right now. It is a bit of a bummer that I have to order from Australia, but like, I can only imagine how Australians must feel having to order literally anything from places that are not Australia, which is most places, assuming that Australia is even a real place. Okay, yeah, so like I mentioned before, with one of my phones losing a bunch of footage from the other filming angle, apparently my main phone wasn't recording when I did my initial round of gouache, which is a bummer, but what can you do? Most of the rest of this video is honestly just me trying to adjust these glowing rings, so I wouldn't even say it's that big of a loss. So I had initially gone in with some Hanziella light, and then blended it out with some titanium white to give it more of that glowy look. But I guess I felt it wasn't like warm enough for some reason, so I ended up coming in with some Holbein Marigold, and I'm not really vibing with this macaroni and cheese ass color, so I come in with some more Hanziella light to try to like tone it down a bit, and like it helps, but I still feel like it's kind of overwhelming at this point. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I just come in and add some details with a fine liner and some gouache, and then I'm back at it again with these rings. I kinda try to push back this yellow a little bit with some more indigo, just to make it like a more manageable shape again, and then later I'll come back in and blend it out for some more of that glow effect. I did make the forehead ring like super thin and tiny here, but I swear I fixed it by the end. This is also just like a nice opportunity to add some more indigo all over since there was such a drying shift. And I don't even think that this is my last round with the rings. Like I said, they're not perfect, but they kinda sorta ended up how I wanted them to be, and I think that's good enough for now. So this background color is another custom mix of mine. After I made my first mix of Cobalt Opera, I wanted to try a similar mix by swapping out the Cobalt Teal Blue for like a regular Cobalt Blue to see if it would give a similar kind of color separation. And the blue that I have in this mix is actually Winsor & Newton's Cobalt Blue Deep, and while I do really like the hue of this color, I do feel like it's kind of lacking in the color separation department. I still really like it, I feel like it works in this piece, and I think that the way that I implement it looks super pretty, almost like a purple moon. I just wish that the color separation was more dramatic. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would you spend the extra money for a cobalt color when ultramarine blue is right there? And okay, come here. I'm gonna tell you a secret. I hate ultramarine blue. I cannot stand that color, and now I know what you're thinking. But Alistair, like, it comes in every single basic color mixing set. How can you not like it? It's such a useful mixing color. I don't care. I cannot stand that color. The only reason I have ever even considered buying a tube of ultramarine blue is because I've recently learned about some of the unethical practices involved in cobalt mining, so I'm trying to not buy cobalt paints anymore. But even then, I think I'm only going to buy ultramarine blue if I think that this custom mix here is like worth replicating again after this pan runs out, which only time will tell. And the color lineup for this piece is Daniel Smith Indigo, Daniel Smith Alizarin Crimson, Holbein Opera Gouache, Da Vinci Hansa Yellow Light Gouache, and my custom Cobalt Opera Deep mix, which I'm giving plenty of room to separate in the water. But yeah, I would say that Umbreon definitely benefited the most from adding a white outline because of this coloration being so dark, and just a lot of the details get lost in it. I kinda wish that I had something that didn't skip as much as this Sakura gel pen, but I don't know if I've seen a proper paint pen that has lines as thin as I would want to go with this. But yeah, a couple more details later, and then here is the emo king himself, Umbreon. Hey, thanks again for watching. If you want, leave a like, or don't. I continue to not be your dad. But either way, I hope you have a colorful day.